All right, we'll call the council meeting to order. We do have two late items which are related to the transit service as well as, what's the other one? Oh, the strap plan. So with those two amendments, we'll bring those up in the appropriate spot in the agenda. Motion to adopt the agenda would be
Move. Second.
Those in favor? Motion's carried. Right, we have two delegations this evening. First of all, from the Comox Valley Regional District, presentations on the water and sewer financial plans. So, Wendy, I take it you're leading off. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. We'll make it quick. We've got 10 minutes to go over the overview and the water and sewer, so we'll zoom through my piece, then I'll turn it over to Dave Leach, who is the Senior Manager of Water and Wastewater Services. Okay, just to give some background information, in the regional district, a bit different than municipalities, we have 95 services which are all established by a bylaw or the Local Government Act, and each service is a standalone service with its own funding and its own expenditures. Comox pays into 22 of the 95. Okay, and each service can have a different set of participants, and these are just 3 examples of the 95 services, and you can see there are different people that pay into each one of these services. Okay, how we allocate the tax requisitions in each service is normally done by converted values, converted assessed values. And this is just a chart of how, in 2015, how those values have shifted. Cumberland is a bit of the anomaly this year. They went up 5.29. Everybody else is pretty stable. And this just is an example of how that impacts the allocation. So if we're allocating based on converted values, it shifts from year to year, even though the bottom line is that we're raising the same amount of taxes for that service. Okay, so we start in September, we start building our budgets, we get them all entered into the system, we get our completed rolls on January 1st, we enter the new assessments, reallocate it, and then start presenting to the board. These are the 19 services that Comox pays into by requisition. And there's 3 others. The Comox Valley Emergency Program and the Pesticide Awareness that we have contracts with the city or the City of Courtenay and the town of Comox for the delivery of those services, and Comox buys water from our bulk system. Sort of a breakdown of how the municipalities fare as far as what is expensed, and you can see that recreation and culture, water services, sewer, and solid waste are the big ticket items. Okay, and this is the overall change in requisition for Comox. Total of $307,076 increase from over 2014. And I've isolated waste management, solid waste service, and the sewer, and that makes up about 70% of the total change in requisition. Okay, so what does that look like for the householder and the property owner? This is the shift between 14 and 15 for a property. We just picked an arbitrary 300,000. We're looking at for property at $300,000, $11.01 increase over 2015 for those Comox Valley Regional District services that were delivered to the town of Comox. That represents a 4.5% increase over 14. Okay, and to that you would need to add the emergency program and the pesticide awareness, because that's we just send the bill to Comox and they include that in their taxation. The water and the sewer services are calculated by the town, and they show up on your tax notices, utility bills. Okay, so these are some of the factors that we look at. We do look at reserves, asset management, and looking at the long-term picture as well as the short-term. I think all local governments try to keep taxes down, and of course we manage risk that's involved in delivering the services. Okay, our full plan is available on the website, so please feel free to go in there and take a boo. It's service by service, there's a whole bunch of tax information and lots of info there. Okay, on March 24th and the 31st, we bring our bylaw forward to the board for the budget adoption. So we're getting near to the end. We have a couple more budgets to present, and then we'll be rolling it up into the bylaw and presenting that to the board on the 24th for the bylaw meeting. Okay, and that finishes me off.
Any questions for Wendy this time? Not seeing none, thank you. And I take it this is Mr. Leach.
Yes, thank you.
I recognize you from all the press coverage during the boil water. Welcome.
Thanks. Okay, I'll just give a quick synopsis of the sewer and the water functions there and the budgets and the changes to from 2014 to 2015. A quick synopsis there of our water system. It serves Courtenay, Comox, and 5 service areas in the surrounding municipalities. And we provide clean, safe drinking water to about 45,000 people. Our source for our water is Comox Lake. It comes out of the lake into a diversion dam into the BC Hydro penstock. And it's transferred into a large diameter pipe into our treatment facility there for chlorination and disinfection. The system consists of pump stations and trunk mains. Trunk mains fill 6 reservoirs throughout the Courtenay Comox system, 4 pump stations, and then into the distribution systems to the municipalities. In 2014, we continue to do water quality monitoring of Comox Lake, upgrades to the booster station, the Courtenay station, and the Comox Reservoir upgrade. And the financial plan for 2015, the majority of the revenue for the water system is derived from the sale of bulk water. The financial plan shows a small increase in revenue due to increased consumption, and the bulk water rate stays consistent in 2015 at 64 cents. Just a little graph showing the projections of consumption and how we derive the revenues for that. We work with Courtenay and Comox and their financial staff to project the water consumption for Courtenay and Comox, and so we simply take the numbers provided to us from them and multiply it by the bulk water rate. You can see we have a slight increase in consumption from about 2.1% from 2013 to 2014, and the ongoing trend from projections provided for the municipality is just slight reductions. The financial plan personnel levels in it are projected to remain unchanged in 2015, only a small increase to accommodate the QP agreement, and costs for the functions are only derived from the staff time spent working on them. Expenditures, there's no overall change to the operating costs, and just some small changes to a few of the line items in there. Education, contract services reduction, and some increases in minor capital. Significant capital works reserve contributions are made to the system. We, in 2014, were about 1.6 million. 2015, we're projecting approximately $1 million. The reason it's down is we're putting money into the capital projects for 2015. So instead of transferring them into reserve and out, we're just making a slightly smaller contribution. The reserve function is about $12 million in 2014, with the DCC reserve at just over $6 million. And for 2015, of significance, there is, we all went through some extensive boil water in 2014, 2015, and the regional district is working on a water treatment study and hopeful design in 2015, and along with some other minor capital expenses, but the lion's share of the work and the money spent in the capital is for water treatment. The capital plan over the next 5 years, the number there is quite significant, $55 million, And that's a projected cost to meet the health authority's 451 drinking water policy and satisfy our needs to that. The number there, 50 million, we're currently working on a study to identify the different treatment options for the facility, and $50 million is a number we projected in there from other municipalities of similar size and the expenses they've had for the facility. We currently have a grant study going on now and an application being submitted to offset some of that $50 million, and we're very hopeful to get. 2015 work plan and continue monitoring the Comox Lake. Of great significance is the engineering option study for the water treatment to meet BHA's health requirements. Begin design on the facility hopefully. Watershed protection completion plan, climate change assessment, asset management, and upgrades to the Courtney booster station. And if anyone has any questions.
Questions on water at this time? Councillor Grant?
Hi Dave, there's been lots of speculation on whether if we had our deep water intake earlier, this boil water advisory may not have been a problem for us. My understanding is that's not the case, but maybe good to hear from the horse's mouth here.
Yeah, you're correct. So when we went through the boil water, just for everyone's information, the health authority has a limitation of 1 turbidity unit in there. We continually sample from the deep water intake, which is the deepest part of Comox Lake. When we had the events, the deep water intake turbidity level was 20. So had we been drawing water from that deep water intake, we would be having to boil water anyways.
And we're also looking at some ways to maybe slacken off that 1 in the meantime while we wait to figure out what the treatment is, so that if we run into this problem in the future, the testing may not be quite as stringent over that time period.
I don't know if that's actually true or not.
Yeah.
We had a presentation from the health authority, and the health the doctor there was not that flexible on that, and so I don't think we are actually. To be honest.
There's discussions about it.
Yeah. We're ongoing discussions with the health authority about those turbidity levels and as they came down, but that was an issue with us for many weeks through the boil times.
Has there been any further investigation into some of the causes other than just heavy rain in the turbidity side of things?
There is. The problem with an ongoing turbidity issue is it depends on the reason that turbidity event happened, which could be for a number of different factors every time. So when we deal with the health authority, because they don't know what would cause the event, they couldn't determine that there was no need to have a boil advisory. Therefore, when we get to the next one, the question is what's caused it. When we don't know what caused it, subsequently will likely be on another advisory as a result of that. So it's a tricky piece of business about why every time you have a boil advisory, what caused it. You don't find out what caused it until afterwards.
But the most recent one, was there any conclusions reached as to why that? I mean, we've had heavy rains before.
Yeah, there is there's a forest practices codes, and there's a governing body that monitors forest practice codes and does investigations. They're currently conducting one on the events that.
Okay. Thanks.
Should I jump to the sewer?
Indeed.
So similar, I'll give you a little synopsis on the 5-year plan for the Comox Valley sewer system. Sewer serves Courtney, Comox, along with D&D and the Comox First Nations and IR number 1. The plant was constructed in the early 80s, commissioned in 1984. Consists of pump stations, force main, and a wastewater treatment plant. All the flow goes to the treatment plant. It's discharged 3 kilometers offshore into an outfall 80 meters deep into the ocean. When it was designed, it had approximately a 25-year life capacity, and therefore we're beyond that life capacity as we stand. 2014, a lot of our work to do with the sewer treatment plant revolves around the plant, the infrastructure there, and the upgrades and the capital projects surrounding it, similar to the composting facility we have. So a number of capital accomplishments that we completed there last year. clarifier upgrades, replacement of loader, pump station upgrades, and order control at our pump station. As well, what we do at the plant is we have an asset management plan that's ongoing. So we have a lifespan of all the components of the facility, and every year we do asset management upgrades to the various components of the plant. In 2015, we are proposing an 11% increase to the requisition. We derive our funds from a requisition from Comox Courtney, the sale of service to the DND and septic hauling. The increase is, for the vast majority, is to fund the future needs of the upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant. We received, as I said, an increase in revenue from DND and septic hauling, so a little added increase in revenue to the function. Staffing levels in 2015 are unchanged, with some slight amendments due to increase in the PP agreement. Operating costs are projected to increase by about $200,000 in 2015, and a large majority of that increase is due to engineering professional fees, not truly operational changes to the facility, but a fair amount of engineering study work to be done at the facility this year, and minor capital works. The spreadsheet here shows the proposed capital plan for 2015 and some of the works we're doing. Of note, the Comox number 2 force main and pump station there. Hopeful siting and design of the facility in 2015. Upgrades to our one of our sludge handling facilities. The HMCS quadrant force main replacement in conjunction with the D&D. We're doing works on that. Capital trunk main sewer systems with Greenwood and Hudson. We're doing an expansion to the compost facility there, and a number of asset management items for about $4 million in 2015. Capital reserves, they're mainly to fund asset management and the major capital projects for the facility. And the financial plan uses all available reserves to fund the capital projects through 2016. The 2015-16 contributions are lower than the previous years due to the work that we're ongoing, and then in years 2017 through 19 back up to approximately $2 million a year. Our reserves in the sewer function are about $10 million and about 3.5 in the DCC reserve. 2015, some of our capital projects, as I mentioned, is the HMCS quadrant force main replacement, the Comox number 2 pump station, the composting facility expansion, and some works to the facility and a replacement of a sludge hauling truck. Oops. And as well as some asset management works.
Any questions? Yes. Director of Finance.
Dave, you mentioned that the plant had a 25-year life capacity. Do I understand from that, it's not that the assets were going to wear out over 25 years, it's that when the plant was commissioned, there was enough excess capacity to last 25 years, and that because we're 30 years since then, that we're nearing the capacity of the system?
Yeah, we're actually, I think in 2014, we had, I think 43 days of, we were out of compliance with our permit. Therefore, hydraulically, we discharged greater than our capacity of our permit in our plant. And during just giving an example, during the heavy rains and the flooding, we were about 3 times our excess outfall capacity. On a day like this, we're probably at 2/3 the capacity of the plant. So, you know, on average, the hydraulic capacity of the plant is at its very max. When we had the heavy rains and the floods, we had everything working 24/7, just barely keeping up. So in 2015, the plan is to do a capacity study on that. We'll bring that back at the end of the year and try and determine some of the cost increase to the plant.
All right. Anything further? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. right, next delegation, Mr. Sparrow from the North Island Hospitals Project. Welcome.
Hi. How's everybody tonight? Well, while we wait for him to roll up the presentation, my name is Tom Sparrow, Chief Project Officer with North Island Hospitals Project. And I think most of you have actually seen this presentation before, if not here, maybe at one of our other community presentations that we hold about every quarter. So I'll be very quick. I know we've got a very short time limit tonight, so we'll go through this very, very quickly. Again, things have not changed. Up in Campbell River, 95 beds, 32,000 square meters, 274.5 in capital, and then 40% is provided by the Comox Strathcona Regional Hospital District. Their 40% funding is actually provided through the construction of the facility, and then the balance of 60% is actually paid by the province over the 30-year agreement that we have with the consortium. Down here in the Comox Valley, of course, it's 153 beds, 39, close to 40,000 square meters, obviously a little bit more money, 331.7, and again, 40% funded through the Regional Hospital District. Essentially, the facilities are very similar to one another when it comes to standardization. Down here in Comox, we have the extra psych unit, of course, and then there's additional operating rooms, and of course, inpatient units and intensive care units, etc. It's just a larger facility in comparison to the one up in Campbell River, but we did try to create as much standardization between the two facilities as we could. When we do build these types of facilities, we do try to start with some guiding principles, and these are the three that Island Health had decided to focus on, a place we want to work and learn. Of course, that's for the staff. Evidence-based design. When we're building these facilities, we do not design something that has not been proven somewhere else in the world. So we're taking a lot of the very good ideas that have come from the design and construction of facilities around the world, and we try to look at incorporating those new designs into our facilities here. We've done actually a wonderful job of doing that with the 35 clinical teams made up of around 210 clinicians from both facilities who've been involved in this project since it was first envisioned, and will continue to work closely with us with these 35 teams until we move in, which of course is not till the latter part of 2017. The third area we focus on is, and this is new in healthcare, we started this about 5 years ago, is instead of it being what we call a clinician-centric design facility, it's a patient-centered facility. So we look very closely at the patients, the family members, and how we can accommodate design to support them. And in this case, of course, we're looking specifically at Islanders, First Nations, and our elderly as well. As far as our status of the project, as you can see, we are situated right here. We're almost finishing design. We've been through these various phases and stages over the last few years. But in this case, because it's a public-private partnership, we're not only designing, but we're constructing at the same time. It's called real-time construction, and so we have not finished the design, and will not complete those drawings until probably about September later on this year. But of course, as you all know, driving by both these sites, they are coming out of the ground, and there's been an incredible amount of work done here since last July. Once the facilities are both completed in April 2017, there is a 30-year what we call hard and soft FM agreement, where they will be maintaining the facility and looking after the housekeeping for the facility for that 30-year period. Down here in Comox, the theme here is the forest, of course, because we are situated in a forested area, so a lot of the colors you'll see both on the exterior and in the interior are related to forest-related type colors. As you can see, this is the front entrance area. There's a drive around here, there's a bus stop over here, a place for some drop-off parking, about 10 or 12 stalls there, and even the handicap bus is able to park here in this area as well. Over on this side, you've got the loading dock. It's actually situated half underground to reduce some of the sound attenuation issues that we have in the area. And on the other side of the facility, you'll see in this particular shot, the site drawing, we've got the ambulance bays and we've got the emergency entrance in here. So there's lots of surface parking around 3/4 of the site, and then of course we've got the parkade This is situated over in this area. The Financial Elementary School, for those that are kind of getting their idea of where the site's situated, is over in this area. You've got Lerwick up here. North Island College, of course, is over here. So the main entrance is coming in here. As I mentioned, you can drive around here. And then the loading dock is over in this area. And the helipad is situated on the roof. And we're looking at about 5 to 6 stories here, which mechanical is on the roof as well. We have a secondary entrance here where you can actually enter here or you can exit here. But the only way that you can actually make a left-hand turn into here is if you are an ambulance. There won't be any accessibility there for anyone but the ambulance. So this just gives you an idea of the site drawing, where some of the landscaping, what it might look like. We're still actually finishing the landscaping work, and those designs won't be completed for another couple of months. As you can see, there's lots of parking, both surface and parking on the site. There's lots of different gardens and walking paths that are situated on the site. And of course, we have the little lovely berm that we put in a few years ago on the site as well. It'll be well grown in by the time this project is completed. As far as helicopter access egress, this is the flight paths in and out that the helicopters can take. Obviously, we have to follow the guidelines of Transport Canada. They have strict guidelines around that, and so we're actually in the middle of completing the discussions with Transport Canada. They actually like to see the final drawings before they'll actually approve what your final your classification will be at both of the sites. This is just a very quick drawing showing you the actual construction and the roads that are going to be put in there during construction. It also shows you the timelines for construction, looking at that will be completed in April of 2017. These are the positions of the 2 cranes. It's showing only one settling pond, but as you're probably most aware, and you were talking about the rains earlier in December, we actually had to dig 3 extra settling ponds because we were getting so much water that was coming off the North Island College site. We had to create settling ponds here, and we actually put a special water filtration system in here. You might have seen there's a couple of 40-foot containers where all of the water that was taken was pumped off-site, had to go through the filtration system first. It was approved by the Department of Fisheries Oceans, and of course the engineering group with the City of Courtenay, but no water actually left this site that wasn't filtered out. It was very, very clean water before it actually hit the sewer systems, and of course ensuring there was no impact on the salmon and runs on the rivers as well. As far as status goes, as you can see, we've gone through excavation. We are actually working down here at Comox on 3 different levels. They're actually going to do this in tandem, and so we won't actually finish level 0 probably till about June this year as far as the concrete that's being poured. But as they're doing that, they're doing it in layers, and so we'll actually you'll actually will see all of the layers and the levels completed by about September of this year, but it'll be done in a staged approach, so we can actually start work on other parts of the facility as we complete the concrete pour. This just gives you an idea of what the site looked like back in July this year. As you know, we took the forest out last year and had put the berm in. This is a shot actually showing what the facility looked like on the 24th. You can access this information on our live webcams. You can see the 2 cranes in place. They actually brought in 4 extra mobile cranes. We actually took all the cranes on Vancouver Island, and we're actually picking up a few more that are coming in from Vancouver later this next week. But there's a lot of work being done. As you can see, it's being done in various phases and the various floors that are being put in place right now. So that allows them actually to start work early on in other areas like mechanical, electrical, buttoning in the site itself, so that we're hoping to have the site completely encased by October, November of this year, so they can really get working on the interior of the facility. As far as design goes, these are some of the user groups that we've been dealing with. I mentioned the 35 different clinical groups. We have an Aboriginal working group. We're working on mock-up spaces that are situated in a leased facility. That's just, it's very close to the Walmart over on the other side of the river. We have a significant number of technical working groups, and then on the detailed design side, as you know, we have a significant number of meetings. We have our Aboriginal working group heavily involved. We have a new public patient advisory committee that's just been put in place. Interiors Wayfinding is a group that's just kickstarting now. We're finishing most of our design, so we're starting to work on our interiors, our wayfinding, our signage, colors, etc. And then we have a new art working group that is being formed as well, and we're hoping to have our first meeting with that group here sometime within the next few weeks. It's just going to give you a shot of what the mock-up rooms initially look like. We've actually taken a lot of these down. There's 11 of them actually over there, and they're actually redesigning them to identically match what is going into the facilities. They'll actually not be an operational room, but there will be a significant amount of equipment that will go in there. And of course the floor rooms, the layouts, where the equipment's based, will all be set up so that people will have a very good understanding of what is going in each of these rooms before we actually construct them. I will extend an invitation to Mayor and Council if you're interested to come once these are completed, and you can meet with the technical and clinical teams and do a walkthrough of these, so you'll get a good understanding of what these rooms will look like. So you can see what an inpatient unit looks like, or an intensive care unit. There's an operating room, labor delivery, recovery, postpartum room, etc. So if you are interested, we could certainly open that up and probably have you visit sometime in the next 6 months or so. This is just a shot of the mock-up of what the operating room originally was going to look like. But it really helps folks that don't have a very hard time reading drawings to get understanding about space, where equipment's situated, how they can move around in that space as well. It's very, very useful and helpful for us. On the education training side, it's just outlines a lot of the partnerships that we've created. We're not just, as far as we're concerned, building a bricks and mortar facility here. We put a lot of effort into maximizing every other benefit and opportunity. So we're talking about education, training, apprenticeship programs, and ensuring that a lot of the work is provided on a local level. And so we've actually created this working group with all these various groups, and we're working closely to ensure that we're maximizing those opportunities locally for both projects. We brought in Industry Training Authority. We're actually looking at obtaining extra funding through them to set up some additional apprenticeship programs through North Island College. So a lot of work being done outside of just designing and building a facility here to hopefully maximize the benefits for the communities here on North Vancouver Island. From the work packages, these are just some of the work packages that have already been awarded. It's all publicly tendered. You can actually access this through the Graham Construction's website if you're interested in any of this information. But it gives you an idea of some of the work packages and the companies that have been awarded the work. As you can see, they're not the identical companies for both sites. We broke the work packages down and made them into smaller packages, so it would allow some of the smaller companies, enable them to bid on some of these work packages as well. There's some more of the work packages that have been awarded. And then we move on, and this is some of the work packages that are going to be coming up here shortly, and then a breakdown of the ones that are expected for coming up for summer 2015. So we share all this information with all the various economic development authorities, with the First Nation communities, with the chambers. We try to get this information out to anybody or any company that might be interested in bidding or working on this project. Moving on, we also track the hiring at the site and who's working on the site, and we've broken it into locals, North Islanders, the remainder of Vancouver Island, and then mainland. We've also got a new component, is a self-identification for First Nations. And so as you can see, these are the numbers at both of the sites right now, but they'll ramp up significantly here once we've got the sites or the facilities buttoned up, because there's incredible amount of work that goes on to design or to build and to install the amount of wiring and cabling and the HVAC systems, et cetera, that go into these facilities. And so a significant number of people will be working on these sites over the next few years. As far as what's coming up in 2015, as I mentioned, we'll be looking at completing the concrete. Our issue for construction drawings, as I said, will be mostly completed, 95% by September, and then this fit out that we talked about, and then the building envelope, as I mentioned, that we're shooting at having completed in October of this year. As far as scheduling goes, very, very broad brush strokes. We're looking at reaching service commencement at the end of April 2017. And then there's a training transition period. We've set aside up to 6 months for the health authority to get in there and actually train all of the various, there's about 1,200 people that need to be trained at the new site, give them a really good understanding of design, new equipment, and obviously be very much aware of how they're going to deliver services in the new facilities before we actually plan on moving in both facilities, which is scheduled from, I would say, between September and November of 2017. Community engagement is huge, and this just gives you an idea of some of the community engagement or presentations we make. We have newsletters. We're on about our 15th or 16th newsletter. We have a very interactive website with real live webcams at both sites. And I did mention all these various working groups that we have also involved in the project. And in addition, we also, of course, work very closely with the school advisory committees that are adjacent to both sites as well. This is just gives you an idea of the next set of meetings coming up on March 11th over at Stan Hagen. It's a great place for us to be able to deliver our community presentation. And then, of course, up in Campbell River, if you happen to be up there the next night. I like to bring our clinical and technical and our construction people along. So if folks have questions in any of those areas, you don't need to listen to me. You can actually talk to the people that are actually doing that particular work. So it's a great two-way conversation for folks. This is our website. You can actually access as well through the VHA website. We have a direct link there, and I believe we should have a direct link through the Comox website as well. We like to link with all the municipalities in the regional district. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much, and that ends my presentation.
Any questions, Councilor Grant?
I'm going to make the assumption that we're on time and on budget.
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes, actually, you're probably a little under budget, but we prefer that.
Yeah.
Anything further, Councilor Swift?
I'm not one of these people that does well with plans, so seeing the things built out is great. But one thing that did strike me as a little unusual maybe was the placement of the loading dock and the access to the loading dock. So you're going to be having all your supplies come right through your main entrance lane?
Oh, no. Here, if I can back up here, I can show you.
It was early on.
No. Actually, you can push the button there and just back it up until we get to one of the drawings.
Well, if it's not the case, that's great. It's just something that...
Yeah, no, we would never in a million years do something like that. The loading dock actually can handle, there's actually 3 loading bays for large trucks, and there's a separate bay for dealing with the morgue, etc. But the amount of material management that's going in there, there's hazardous materials, there's your garbage, there's all your waste. We have these huge systems, etc.
Keep going.
Oh, there. So the front entrance is here, and the loading dock's way over here. So this is actually below ground, and as you can see, the different bays are situated here. And then there's this above this, which is about 10 or 15 feet above there. There's actually a grass and tree area, so it's completely separate. It's out of sight. You won't be able to see it whatsoever. There's even the generators are situated down below here as well.
But they're going to access it through the main entrance.
So they'll be driving through here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be parking here and over here and here, and then if you're interested in using the parkade entrance is right there.
So you're satisfied there's enough separation?
Oh yeah, very much. The one up in Campbell River is similar, but it actually is situated on the other side of the front entrance. It's over in this area.
Anything further, Councilor Price?
Yes, so the Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities is having their convention in April, and they're doing a field trip.
They are. I invited them.
Good. Yes, it's wonderful. So will there be lots to see?
More than that picture, because of course, after they're coming in a month's time, so we'll probably have the third floor will be developed by then. And so, fortunately, you have to wear personal protective equipment to go on the site. So what we do in that situation is we'll have a bus loaded up with them, and they'll come on the site, and they'll come on right through here. We're going to drive along here and then up this side here. So we'll be able to stop all along here, and I'll be able to speak to what's going on over here, and there's great visual for them as well. In addition, so I'm doing a presentation for them about the do's and don'ts of working municipalities, and when you see these tsunami waves of big infrastructure projects coming in, I want to let them know what to expect. And so I'm going to do a full presentation for them that way, and we're going to do the site tour here, and then after this we're going to to take them up to our mock-up rooms, and then we're going to be able to run them through those as well.
Great. Anything further? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tom. All right, moving on with minutes of meetings. We have for approval the council meeting minutes of February 18th.
Move.
Second?
On approval, all those in favor? Motion's carried. The committee of the whole meeting minutes of February 25th for
Move.
receipt.
Second.
Receipt, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Number of recommendations coming out of that committee of the whole for consideration here tonight. So first of all, Marina Space for Comox Valley Marine Rescue Society. Recommendation from committee of the whole is that town provide offsetting grants for the annual mortgage and hydro costs for the Marine Rescue Station and tubulars 34 and 30 to Comox Valley Marine Rescue Society until March 31, 2020.
So moved. Second?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Secondly, committee recommendation regarding the Macklang House report is that town confirms the existing plan to remove the remaining structures from the Baybrook property and the Macklang Park property. They are important addition and finalize the park use plan to return the property to a natural state for passive recreation use.
Move.
Second.
Discussion?
Just one
Councillor
quick
Price?
comment. There has been interest in having the house moved, so Al is meeting with Nichols Brothers and somebody from the community just to see if it's a possibility
At no cost to the town.
at no cost to the town. And I think Al's going to produce a report, so there would be that leeway to allow for that report to come to us before we actually look
Produce a
at
report.
demolition. Is
I
that the case?
think rather than producing a report, they'll be meeting on site and go through all the requirements because the property is in several development permit areas that environmental, eagle nesting, heron nesting, that all require attention if you're going to move the house off the site. That he will report to me on, and if it is feasible and can be done in a relatively straightforward manner, we would bring that back to council for consideration. But at this time, we don't see a change in what would happen. But we will give them the opportunity to do some due diligence on this.
Great. And it really doesn't change the recommendation because that speaks to
Right.
removing the house.
Anything further? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. We did review, as you may recall, the first draft of the 2015-2019 financial plan. And first recommendation from committee of the whole is that council add $20,000 in casual wages to the fire department operating budget.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Secondly, the grant of $2,500 for the year 2015 be provided to the Alberni program.
Move.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And thirdly, that the draft 2015-2019 financial plan include the following increases in property taxes in 2015, 1.5% for commercial, 2.5% for other property classes, and in 2016 to 2019, 2.7% overall.
Move.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And I understand that'll come back to the committee of the whole next week? Next week, yes. Great. No committee reports. Manager report for receipt.
Move receipt.
Thank you. And on receipt then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Anything on the manager report? You'll see that one item, of course, will be removed regarding Macklang, if that proceeds. And other than that, we can move on to the strategic plan that was circulated as revised as a late item. So hopefully everyone got that with the cover letter that the CEO drafted up. And it's for your consideration and approval. Assuming everyone got to see it.
So do we want a motion to
Yes.
approve? I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any further comments? Yes, Councilor McKinnon?
Just an appreciation of the discussion last week and the additions that were made there just now.
Yeah, no, that's good. And we took some things out that are considered to be core services in any event. So with that, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, staff and council, for bringing that forward, and that'll that'll be finalized and posted on our website. Right, so moving on to special reports, we have regional district meeting minutes of the hospital district board February 12th, the solid waste management February 12th, and the CDRD board on the 24th. Have you received all those?
Someone receive all those?
Second.
Have you received that? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Anything coming out of those? We've all reported on those things out. Please. So move on to bylaws. So we have for adoption the refuse collection bylaw, 1799.
Move.
Second.
On adoption, then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. We have bylaw 1801, which is the Point Home Sanitary Sewer Lift Station Amendment bylaw for adoption.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. And then the third bylaw is bylaw 1804, the Municipal Marina Fees bylaw 2015 for adoption.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. Under new business, I suppose this would be the time we should deal with that transit bylaw amendment. If that makes sense. Okay. So that was again circulated as a late item. It is somewhat different from the item of correspondence we'll deal with later, but maybe CAO, if you want to just explain what's going on. Or try to.
Yeah, and maybe I'll ask for some assistance from the regional district directors who attended the committee of the whole yesterday.
Sure.
But essentially, the bylaw amendment that they're proposing removes the maximum amount which may be expended for total annual operating costs from the bylaw, as it's a figure that they have exceeded in the past. It's a hangover from an older version of the bylaw that is not required to be in there technically, but because it is still in place, it does have some impact on directors directly, potentially. So it is an amendment that is supportable.
Any further directors? Go ahead.
Yes, and the requisition still stays the same. It was designed for a transit system that was much smaller when it came in the early 90s, and it was just for Comox and Courtney. And so if we were to draw back to that line, that financial line, then we would have to really get the bus service. So, yeah, it's a technicality.
You're not allowed to exceed your requisition, and yet they did a few times. So when that happens, you can be held personally responsible for
There
that.
you go.
So that's why the change.
All right. Sounds like something we should continue.
It was an easy one to agree with.
All right, so they're looking for basically a motion that the town of Comox consent to the adoption of this bylaw amendment, number 4, under that section of the local government act.
I'll move that.
Any further discussion?
And just that if we could let the regional district know tomorrow that it's done, then they can, we're the last ones to sign off on it.
Right, okay, so good staff to do that. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, so we're now at correspondence, and we have a letter from Neil Boulanger, who is with the BC Aboriginal Network on Disability Society, and just trying to catch up here where we're at. That is I think just for our information.
Full receipt?
Yeah.
Full receipt.
Yeah. Receipt then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Are they asking for anything?
More or less.
They're looking for something.
There's a request for
Oh,
funds.
they want a video clip. Yeah. I don't know, is that something that
Do we have such as
we don't really have any resources for that? All right, well, it's just for information. Okay, fair enough. We'll receive it and let them know we received it. Have you voted on that? All those in favor? Okay. Letter from Wendy Brothrow regarding Chatsworth Council for receipt.
Full receipt?
Second?
Any receipt then? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Any discussion?
It is a good idea, and I just picked up in my pile of papers the offer of the speed dating at the seniors.
Sorry, is that the Berwick you're talking
The
about?
Berwick, yes.
Is that Is that a recent thing? Because they sent us something a long time ago.
Yes, yes, but it's talking about for this coming year, so this may meet the need.
I don't know what other members of council do in response to the Berwick thing. I did suggest to them that, we are going to conduct an open house on Public Works for the next year ahead, and perhaps we can include some discussion of our strategic plan, which we've just adopted. But I never did hear back, so further to anyone else's discussions or submissions, that's the only submission I made to Councillor Kim.
Just during the election campaign, I think all the candidates here were open to having some dialogue with citizens. Whether that's informal or formal would be the question, I suppose. And I think in spirit it was leaving the door open for informal discussions with members of the public. And I'd like to go around the table and see if anyone disagrees with that, or do we need more protocols to set up a formal
Well,
sessions?
there are a couple of challenges. Anytime we meet with 4 or more councillors, it's potentially a council meeting, so we've got to be careful of that. If we host an open house or some other kind of format, that's okay. The problem in the past with chats with council, and it hadn't been done for probably a dozen years or so, is that we tended to have the same people show up, the same 4 or 5 people. They weren't that well attended. I know we tried to move them around as well. We had one at the waterfront once, many years ago. And if there's no real focus to them, they tend to be just the few people that are interested in doing that. In my own personal experience, I have chats with residents every day in various venues. So I think we're fairly open. We also engage social media-wise, whether it's through Facebook or Twitter, or other things that people get into. So, if there's something focused, a discussion that can be had, of course, public meetings here like we have tonight, public open houses, those are opportunities as well. So, it's broad, and that, I think, was my response to that question, was that we're engaging constantly. We're always trying to engage more. We send out newsletters, of course, and we're going to try to upgrade our website. So, those are my Councillor Grant.
Well, as a newcomer, in the short time that I've been here, I of course have had the pleasure of several phone calls too, and I find that one-on-one service, that and the kind of communication that we can have one-on-one, I think has worked really well, both certainly from my point of view and hopefully from our citizens' point of view as well. I would prefer to stay that way. Certainly all of us have our phone numbers out there, and I know that not one of us would say no to any kind of a call. So I like the way it's going right now.
Yeah, I read this and I kind of concur with that. To me, this is an individual issue. If you want to set up a tea or a chat with somebody, you could certainly do that yourself. I think you're right. You run into problems with quorum if you have more than 3, and then we have to advertise our meetings and all that. But as well as what you said, I probably meet with somebody almost on a daily basis. Somebody from the community wants to talk to me, and I find the one-on-one is a far better way to do it than in a group meeting. So, I don't have any problem meeting with anybody that ever wants to phone or talk to me, but and I do it almost every day. So, to me, that works really well. So,
Just, I want to ask the CEO before Councillor Swift comments, but if we're doing that open house on Public Works projects, what would it be likely timing for that this spring?
We're projecting early to mid-April.
Okay, so we can certainly give that information out in terms of a response. Oh, $10 fine.
It wasn't even me.
Councillor Swift.
I guess when I was responding to this at Berwick initially during that time we had there, I had envisioned it wouldn't be the whole council meeting with everybody. It would be really informal, kind of a coffee clutch kind of affair, or sit in the mall every once in a while and people can just come and chat with you. And that's what I was envisioning. I don't know how practical it is, and I don't know how popular it would be, but I wouldn't mind trying something at Berwick, a coffee time or whatever, periodically. Just making yourself available to people that, want to get to know you better and
Sure.
have a conversation. So, I can see problems getting together with the whole council all the time and scheduling these things, but I think there's an opportunity to just meet with people informally.
Well, I know councillors in the past have done that. Every Friday morning, I'm at such and such a coffee shop, come see me, that kind of thing.
So what I'm hearing, your worship, then, is that if there's not a quorum, not more than 3 councillors, council would be comfortable then if we occasionally had advertised an open house, sort of coffee shop drop-in to have an informal discussion with councillors.
Well, that would be your own thing. It wouldn't be a town open house.
Yeah, no, not an open house.
If you want to do
formal
it,
one,
go
but
ahead, or
informal.
2 or 3 or
Yeah, if you want to post something on Facebook and say, I'm going to be here at Tim Hortons at this hour to this hour, then that's certainly individually fun.
Remember when
That
Star was...
clarifies it.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, the floor. Go ahead, sorry.
I said that clarifies it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Star was Mayor Courtney, she used to do the walk with the mayor, and I don't think she had more than one person ever show up to walk with her, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I keep regular hours at Town Hall.
That's
I
right.
posted and we put that in the newsletter from time to time. People come in without necessarily making an appointment. Certainly it's preferred that they do. So those are all different opportunities, and we'll proceed from there. All right, so the next item is a letter from the Royal Canadian Navy Association requesting permission to hold a Battle of Atlantic ceremony on the 3rd of May. So a motion to receive and grant approval.
Proceed.
Second.
On receipt and approval, all those in favor? Motion's carried. And a letter from the RCMP inspector.
Move proceed.
Thank you.
Second.
And that's just updating us on where they're at from 2014. Just before we vote on that, I will just say that I did meet with the inspector as well as the superintendent of the island, Ray Bernodes. After our last meeting, it was a scheduled meeting, they were doing the rounds last Thursday. And of course, that was to do with the 2015 plan going forward. And the items, of course, they referenced here, and as well the correspondence last week, I also added the reference to the scooter safety and what was the other thing?
Presence in the schools.
Schools, yeah. And they were responsive to both of those, and in fact, they did reference, they had a desire to host another rodeo, but they're gonna have to talk to the borough with the seniors for the scooters. So, and they'll try to staff schools when they can. I mean, it's always a question of resources. Interestingly enough, they said that the challenge they're dealing with is recruitment, because of course Surrey is voted towards a increase in the number of police officers. RCMP is 100. They're going to have a great difficulty filling those spots with enough recruits. It takes them 10,000 applications to get 100 good quality police officers, so it's quite a process. In any event, all those in favor of the receipt? Motion's carried. And second last is the letter from Laurel Saunders.
Move proceed.
Second.
Receipt, all those in favor? Motion's carried. I seem to recall a long time ago we looked at policy manual. At one point we had a no smoking policy in public places in our policy manual somewhere, but then that whole thing was taken over by the province, and I assume the same issue would be applicable here, that this is a provincial regulated matter.
That was my question, is it any of our jurisdiction?
No. Well, I guess we can pass bylaws, but ultimately it's going to, regarding sale of items,
Yeah.
that's all provincial. It's the same issue we came into with cosmetic pesticides. We could regulate use, but not sale.
Thank you.
So we reply to this letter, would we, and then we can give that information?
Yeah, we would say that's beyond our scope and purview, and it would be something that she may want to write to the provincial health officer. I would imagine there's other submissions going forward there. So we'll do that, and last piece of correspondence is a review of the transit service function, and this is just for our comment. I don't know if anyone has any comment on it. They were looking for as soon as possible, no later than March 3rd. Well, it's passed us by, but I assume that our directors that sit at that board have made the appropriate comments if there's anything further people wish to add.
Yeah, they're looking to do a review of the function. It plays in a little bit to the increase they were asking for. They approved a 13-cent increase per thousand for this year. They were asking for 25. That covers their budget for this year. They'll do this review, and then we'll review the function and the spending later. So that's why they were trying to wrap it all together with budgets.
Okay.
And that 13-cent per thousand came as a request from Courtney.
Okay.
So they hashed this out at their meeting on Monday night. That's what they came to.
So a motion to receive the letter would be in order then? All those in favor? That's great. All right, we'll see where that takes us. Reports from members of council. We'll start with Councillor Price.
Yes, so I attended the Comox Archives and Museum meeting, and the visits are continuing to increase. There was about 790 visits for January of this year, and the AGM is coming up in March the 21st, Saturday, March the 21st, 2 p.m. in the Lion's Den. I also went to the Comox Valley Conservation Strategy Rethink Our Watershed event, and that was actually very interesting. The round table was a good cross-section, and I think I certainly came away going, well, it's not as simple as you think. You know, owning your watershed comes with responsibilities, and who actually manages it, and are people prepared to have no access to the watershed? So I think it was a good dialogue, and I think it was a good opening, and I was actually very impressed. And we had the committee of the whole yesterday, and one of the things we looked at was with the regional growth strategy, whether we should move away from the past policy of depleting the reserves and actually look at keeping some reserves for a potential review, if not next year, which will be the 5-year mark, at least within the following 5 years, so that should a review be required, we would not be in a situation that we'd have to have a big leap. And transit, we were talking about the service, and I think Director Grant has touched on that, but you know, basically the message that the more convenient the service and where people are, that's how you'll see the increase in ridership. Convenience where people are, and you will get a better return. And the interesting information too, that we actually do pay less per thousand than we did, thousand assessed value than we did in 1991, because there are more people
paying into it.
So, although it seems like a lot of money, it's actually it's good value. And we did look at the economic development budget, and it was recommended for approval that we did include the 65,000 that was requested to carry out the recommendations of the Urbanics consultants.
Right.
And
Lots going on.
lots going on.
Councillor Kevin.
Yes, kudos to the Comox Fire Department. I attended February 20th. They had an earthquake preparedness workshop, well attended, and they do that regularly and provide for citizens handouts here, and kudos to them for doing that. As I said, it was well attended. I too attended the Comox Valley Watershed Conservation Society panel. Pleased to see they had reps from forest companies as well as community stewardship associations. Not BC Hydro, interestingly enough, but it was a very good discussion and informative, and a full house there at Stanhagen Theatre. Community Justice Center, I attended the sponsored Restorative Justice Speaker Series with the Supreme Court Justice of Canada, along with some of you as well. She promoted the restorative justice as a viable option to the court system, and very well attended at the Sid Williams Theatre. I had an email from a citizen about memorial plaques, and I thought it would be instructive for all council members, if we could from our CAO get direction on who should we forward that to on the staff to about memorial plaques. Who in the town staff, if somebody's interested in having a memorial plaque, family member,
We have a
willing to
bench.
pay for it.
We have a bench and a tree program.
Right.
Correct, and Val Fraser, our park superintendent, looks after that.
Still
However, in this circumstance, they're talking about putting it on a pole, which is a bit of a curveball for us, because we've never had one of those before. And depending on who owns the pole, we would need permission from them. So I asked Al to look into it.
Yeah. So
and
we
speak
should go
with-
through all of that, you'd be happy with that?
Okay, sure.
Thank you, that's my report.
Hey, Councillor Margaret.
My contacts with our seniors continues to be A1. Everyone's happy? Thank you.
So I think Councillor Price touched on most everything. The only thing I would bring up, a couple of things on the Economic Development Society one. There is a little governance piece that we're still working on. I think we can find a solution to get the regional directors back to the table, so we're still working on that. So that they're not in conflict of interest through that Schlenker decision, for those that know what that is. And on our regional growth strategy, it is incumbent upon us to at least discuss the review in 5 years, which comes up next year. There isn't enough money in the budget to do that, so if Comox Council thinks that it's important that we do a review, then we should say so, because we need to find money somewhere to do it. We can do it any year following as well, so if you wanted to go 17, 18, 19, whatever you want to do it, but currently we couldn't do it if we wanted to because there's no money in the budget. So if it's something you find important, then let us know and we'll push for that.
Okay. Councillor Swift.
Okay, I attended the Boulder board meeting last week, and they're gearing up for a busy season. Their AGM is March the 28th at 2 o'clock, if you'd like to attend. It's at the lodge itself. I would encourage people to buy memberships, but currently you cannot do it online. They're in the midst of changing carriers, so at the moment you can't do it online. So something to consider in April sometime. And other than that, I went to the Restorative Justice evening, and it was a great evening, and interesting to hear what Beverly McLaughlin had to say.
Okay, I'll just mention a few things here. Island Coastal Economic Trust had a board meeting on the 20th of February. As you know, we got approval for our grant application, so now we're going to the Western Economic Diversification Fund for the balance of funds for the Marina project. And because I was 5 minutes late to that meeting, I got appointed treasurer, so I get to sign off things as they come through in terms of the various projects underway, so that'll be kind of interesting. Attended a breakfast meeting at the Comox Valley Child Development Association, just talking about some of the proposals they have to coordinate more with the early childhood education and learning opportunities and parental resources. So myself and Mayor Baird were there along with Chair Jolk. As mentioned, the Community Justice Center, the CJC at the CJC, Chief Justice of Canada at the Community Justice Center. That was a very nice event all around. Another fun event I did the next day was I was invited to be a judge at a spelling bee at Brooklyn Elementary. It was 26 or 27 students, elementary school students, participating in a spelling bee, and it was a lot of fun to do it. It took about an hour to get through all 26, and the winner was a young student from Valley View, so they're pretty sharp young kids, and I couldn't trip them up as best I could, so they did a great job. The Economic Development Board had a members meeting, that is all the participating municipalities and electoral area districts met to review those bylaw amendments which have been discussed, and they've been passed, and I understand the legal beagles will sort that out, whether that works. Hopefully it does. Yesterday and today I participated in a couple of functions down at Victoria. First of all, the BC Salmon Farmers had a reception last night, inviting members of the BC Liberal Caucus to talk about some of the challenges that they have with the industry in terms of growth and opportunities for providing more protein. There was also presentations today by that group, as well as the shellfish growers and other industry participants in aquaculture to the same BC Liberal Caucus at the caucus chamber in the legislature, so myself and Mayor Andy Adams were there to support at least the further dialogue on advocacy, tenure issues, and of course branding of the industry with focus on the Comox Valley, as well as the Temple River area, and of course First Nations. I referenced the work we've done with our Comox First Nation and that industry. And of course, there is a big festival coming up. It's going to be bigger and better, running from the 12th to 21st of June. It's now going to be branded as the BC Shellfish and Seafood Festival. Can't say that 5 times fast. And there'll be a number of gala dinners and other events, and there's also a trade expo associated with that, so we'll be bringing in some speakers. And we hope to have, we've invited the ambassador of Norway to come and talk about the industry experiences there. So I'm sure there'll be lots more press on that as we go forward, and that ties in with some of the strat plan stuff we've talked about in terms of promoting activities and events here in the Comox area. Fire Chief and I were guests at the Yana fundraiser dinner last Friday night, and the fire department actually donated quite an interesting live auction item, which was for up to 12 people to take fire training with them. And one of the local businesses bought that to promote it to their clients, and they're going to have fun doing that. And I think that item raised $1,700 alone, so another great event. And last but not least, mark your calendars for Sunday, March 29th at 2 p.m. The Mayor's Cup hockey game is going to have a new twist on it this year. The Montreal Canadiens alumni team is in the area, and they're going to play us. So that'll be an event, that'll be a ticketed event, and it'll be more promotional information on that. Comox Valley Minor Hockey and Comox Valley Kids Sports will be the partial beneficiaries of proceeds. So if you want to see some good hockey players play some really...
And some bad ones.
And notionally what we're going to say is that the Habs alumni are representing Comox, and that the Mayor's Cup guys are representing Courtenay because they've got sort of Maple Leafs colored jersey. And if I can raise the funds to play for the Habs team, I'll join them. So I'll be working towards that over the next few weeks. You'll hear more about that.
Would you like us to reserve a berth for you at St. Joseph's?
There you go. Yeah. And the rumor is that Guy Lafleur will not be playing, but he'll be coaching the Montreal team. So if that's the case, I'm sure there'll be lots of people out there. Some of the other players you'll recognize. Yeah, should be good. So that's my report. No other items on the agenda. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. All those in favor?